Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to Tuesday's Tale or Tuesday Tales, something like that. One of the two. Tuesday Tales. Welcome, welcome. And we are reading my upcoming novel, The Ballad of Broken Bird. And we've made quite a journey with them. We're already halfway across the United States, which is a little quicker than I thought, but I think it's because it's taken me so long to write what I'm writing. Good evening, Kevin. How you doing, brother? How's it going, brother? I imagine Jessica's gonna be chiming in here pretty quick. She's usually right behind you or before you. That poor girl, uh, she has not been feeling well at all. She was really sick over the weekend, and well, she was sick last Tuesday, even, and wasn't able to join us for very long because she was not feeling good. But I saw her earlier today, and she is feeling better. I was going home to go eat some soup. She hadn't been able to hold anything down for quite a while, so yeah, so that's been going around. Anyhow, I am back from my awesome trip to Aberdeen, South Dakota, for my oldest grandchild's birthday. It was her fourth birthday. I can't believe she's four already. Um, but yeah, there was a lot. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, just seeing those girls really melts my heart every time I see them. So, um, it'd be nice to live closer, but life is life. But hey, Jessica, there she is. Um, so yeah, it's a lot better. Um, I mean, it's nice that they only live 4 hours away. It'd be nice to be live they live closer and I could see them more often. But you know, it is what it is. I got to turn this down. This phone that's going to it's already messing with the microphones. All right. Put it up there out of the way. So yeah, so I did that and then I have to tell you the story about my friend Leon, whom the character Ben Lost Horse is modeled after. Um so Leon is somebody that I met through mutual friends, and him and I hit it off really well. He lives on over 300 acres of untouched prairie, and there are Native American sacred grounds there, and mounds and all kinds of stuff. And I did my I did my vision quest out there, and I was basically just a really angry kid. He was actually part of the reason this story got written, because he really helped me work work through a lot of issues I was having. Anyhow, so I lived down there. I lived in Fairmont down by Kevin, and I used to go out to his place almost every weekend and help him with stuff or camp out there, whatever. And I would bring people out there, and a lot of the people I brought, he would show them how to carve a pipe, and they would be gifted a pipe. And after a while, I'd asked him. I said, "How come I never got a pipe? You know, I'm out here every weekend." And he goes, "I don't know. I don't know why you didn't get a pipe." And I said, "Okay, well." Um, he goes, "Well, do your people pray with a pipe? Do they pray with tobacco?" And I said, "No, they don't." And he said, "Well, that's probably why you never got one." And I'm like, "Okay." So, and I left it at that. Well, about a month ago, he got a hold of me and he said, Hey, did I ever give you a pipe? And I'm like, we've had this discussion before, and no. Hey, Chuck, how are you? I said, no, I've never gotten a pipe. And, you told me it was because my ancestors didn't pray with a pipe. Oh, well, yeah, well, I got something for you. It was made by somebody very, very close to you. And I went, oh, okay. Well, it took me a while to get out there. Um, so my sister got married in Miami. I had to go to that. And then I was sick the weekend after that. And so I said, well, I'm going to South Dakota to see my grandkids. I said, I'll stop by on my way back. And I did that. And, that's when he gifted me the pipe. And, it was my friend Marie's pipe. And, somebody else that I used to hang out with had the pipe. Because my friend Marie had died. She died about, oh, probably 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I think. And it was her pipe. She carved it. And anyways, this mutual friend of ours had brought it out to Leon's to bury it. And he said, "No, I think this pipe is is still around. Needs to stick around to help people. It still has medicine to give or whatever." And he said, and then I thought of you. And he goes, the curious thing was that the pipe was it's a male pipe, and she did not carve a female pipe. And there's a difference in the shape or whatever. I was gonna bring it with to show you guys, and I forgot to. But it's a male pipe, and he said there's a reason for that, and I think you're the reason. Um, so I was gifted it, and now I have the pipe, and whew, it brought back a lot of memories, and a lot of feels. I'll tell you that. Um, this friend of mine, Marie, um, was the most open-minded and free person that I've ever met in my life, and she's a very gentle soul. And one of our favorite things to do was to go on road trips together, and we love to go along the river. And her character is partly the one of the characters in one of my stories is kind of based on her. But yeah, so we had lost touch for a couple of years, and then I bumped into her when I was gassing up in Jordan, was where she lived. And I said, we really should get together again, and we should go go on a road trip. And she's like, I agree, but she said I haven't been feeling very well lately, and can we wait until I feel better? And I said, yeah, absolutely, just stay in touch. And I checked in with her every once in a while, and she said she was getting sicker and sicker, and she was one of those types that believed in natural healing and essential oils and stuff like that. And I was like, it's getting pretty bad, and you should maybe go into the doctor. And eventually, her sisters talked her into going to the doctor, and they found out she had cancer, and it was pretty bad. And they took her in. Her sisters took her in to get a PIC line put in to do chemo, and then she had a massive stroke. And and her sister called me and said Maria's at our brother's house um, for hospice. If you want to come and see her, and so I said, yeah. So I went out to go see her, and she wasn't very cognizant. and she was just kind of laying there, and so I sat by her and just held her hand and talked to her, and not really knowing if she could hear me or not. And then her brother came up to me and said, "How do you know my sister?" And I said, "Well, I said her and I have been really good friends for a very long time, and I said one of my favorite things that her and I used to do is no matter where we were in the world, um, we would always take pictures of the sunset wherever we were at and send it to each other. And that was like my favorite thing about our friendship. And at that moment, Marie opened her eyes and looked at me, and then her arm came up, which she wasn't able to move before, and it grabbed my arm, and then she buried her face into my chest, and and went back out again. And that was ooh, that was that was a tough one. So so anyhow, it's I got her pipe, and she's I got a bigger part of her, which is to me is very cool, and I'm very happy about that. Um, and evidently I'm supposed to do something with it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the further adventures of me. So, but that being said, speaking of adventures, let's go back to Broken Bird, and he is in Seattle now. Um, and he's been around, kind of seeing the sights, and then he started thinking about Gene, who they had plans to actually live out in the Pacific Northwest, and he was kind of thinking back on that, and then he kind of drank a whole bottle of wine, and then put himself to sleep. So anyhow, and so that's where we're at, and there's gonna be a little more brighter side of the story here in the next chapter or two. So it's not all feels and hurt. So so yeah, Kevin, if I don't make you have insomnia, I just make you cry. So that's what I do. That means I'm doing my job as a writer, is what I'm thinking. Anyhow, um, I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did. Um, grandkids and uh peace pipes. It's all good. Yeah. So um something I got to share with you guys, and this might end up being a short story somewhere in the near future, but I went to punch in. I went to check in at the hotel in South Dakota, and I think it was a Quality Inn, and there was nobody there. Like the whole parking lot was empty. And then I went in. I had to kind of had to find the front desk person. I found them, and then I checked in, and Are you guys full?" And then she's like, "Oh, no, no, we're not full at all. I don't know why." I go, "Yeah, I figured you'd be full because it's hunting season." She's like, "No, no, yeah, no, we're not full." And I go, "Okay." For some reason, I got put in the middle of the hotel on the top floor, and then I went and did grandpa stuff with my kids and my grandkids. And then when I came back, there were still no cars in the parking lot. It was still empty. And I thought about using the jacuzzi they have in the pool area. And I looked in there and it was just pitch black. And I'm like, no, no, I don't think so. So then I said, well, I should write. I should work on the two chapters I'm reading for Tuesday. And as I was doing that, I heard a TV click on in the room next to me. And so I'm like, oh, somebody must have checked in. So then I went outside and go check it out. There was nobody. There's still nobody in the parking lot. So I don't know what the hell's going on. So I had a rough time sleeping that night, but well. It is what it is, right? And it's quarter after 8. I think we ought to get motivated on this story. Um so let us jump in to the next chapter. And Jessica, it's very good to see you back. And I'm glad you're feeling better. I was worried about you. All right. Everything's good. We're not staticky. Mike is working. We're not getting kicked off. We're not getting kicked off Facebook. All right, here we go. The Ballad of Broken Bird, Chapter 16. I left my blinds open so I could feel the ocean breeze. So when daytime hit, she blinded me. It was hard to focus on my surroundings, and I've been sleeping on the ground so long I wasn't prepared for the soft cushion of a mattress underneath me. I had spent so much of last night thinking of Jean that I dreamt of her. We were back together and living life, the life we promised each other. Our pasts were erased, and we just lived every moment. I think the brain can be the cruelest of friends sometimes. It projects a world that you ache to live in, knowing you'll wake up soon enough into the harsh reality of real life. I stared at the ceiling for a moment, gathering my surroundings, accounting what is real and what isn't real. I reached for a cigarette as per my habit, and then I threw the pack back on the nightstand. Reluctantly, I shook off the clean white sheets and shuffled my way to the coffee maker. I thought about making a pot, and then decided I would shower and make my way to one of those fancy hipster coffee shops that Seattle is so famous for. So I hopped in the shower and made my way up the many hills of the University of Washington, Seattle. The college strip offered so much to do, I had to think of my budget. I had plenty of money to get me by. After selling my truck, my house, furniture, most of my music equipment, and cashing in my pension and 401k, I was set. I came here to drink coffee with the hipsters, so that's what I did. A little place called the Coffee Hag. The most beautiful Native American woman I had ever seen was at the counter. A lovely assortment of baked goods divided us. Now, I have 4 favorite smells in the world. The first one is lilac bushes. I had them outside my window as a kid, and the scent always reminds me of spring. The second, baked goods. My grandma's house always smelled of fresh homemade buns and caramel rolls. The third, freshly ground coffee beans. There's something so savory about that aroma that wakes me up and makes my mouth water. And fourth, old yellowed books. I could stand and smell the old pages of a paperback for hours. The lounge area was filled with comfy chairs and couches and shelf upon shelf of old books. I breathed in the aroma of coffee beans and old yellowed pages, and I don't think I could ever get over such a wonderful mixture of scents. Hoka hey, brother, the gal from the other side of the counter greeted. What can I get you? Bonjour, I answered. Can I get something that will eat the enamel off my teeth and straighten my nose hairs? You got it. A Cubano sound about right? Sure. You want room for cream? Uh, I like my coffee like I like my women. Now, to be honest, I wasn't particular about the color of women I dated. It was just something I said. But at this point, she was caramel colored, and I was thirsty. So, black? She asked awkwardly. Not today. I'll take a touch of cream, please. She came back with a paper cup filled with caramel colored bliss. The coffee matched her complexion. You do Amish? She asked. What? I said, blowing on my coffee. Do Amish. You're definitely native. Uh, what an Irish. So, wet wish? She laughed. Yeah, I'll take that. I returned a smile. You come out here for our Wacipi then, cuz? I had no idea you were having one. Tomorrow night at sunset, Discovery Park up on Magnolia Bluff. Well, I'll check it out. Thanks. She gave me a wink and tended to the next customers. I hadn't thought about staying an extra night, but what the heck? I can see how my cousins in the Pacific Northwest whoop it up. I hadn't been to a powwow since I was a little guy. Mom, of course, loved the dances. She competed in the jingle dress division. My memory always goes back to those drums and the chimes of her brightly colored dresses. Like Christmas and autumn, she was beautiful. And I would dance outside the circle, keeping time with her. She'd win. My grandma said she always won in her younger days. But she gave that up so that we could move to where the jobs were. I walked down a block and checked out a microbrewery. The sign claimed that there were 116 different flavors of beer on tap, and I thought I should probably at least get halfway through that assortment. I sat down at the far end of the bar. There weren't a whole lot of people day drinking today, so I got a head start. The bartender, auburn hair and happy eyes, and a goddamn perfect smile, tosses a coaster in front of me and leans towards me on the bar. Liquid lunch? She said. Yes, ma'am, I said. Her nose crinkled. Oof, I don't like ma'am. Makes me sound like an old hag. Um, how about, uh, miss? She looked up at the ceiling. Nope, makes me sound like one of those 20 something woo girls who are in here on Friday nights. Uh, bar wench? Ooh, you don't even know me. I like it. What can I get you? Well, what do you recommend? I've got you. Looks like you got a million selections. Well, what kind of domestic beer do you drink? To be honest, I'm not really a beer person. I'm more of a whiskey person. Well, then you're in the wrong place, motorcycle boy. We make and sell beer and beer only. Motorcycle boy, I thought. I really like the sound of that. Have you got a stout? We have four of them. Want to try them all? Perfect. I'll whip up a flight for you then, motorcycle boy. Thank you, bar wench. She arrived with a flight of four stouts for me to try. I felt like a kid in a candy store. So what brings you here to sunny Seattle? She asked. You look a little old to be a college boy. You ever read On the Road by Jack Kerouac? I asked. Honey, who in Seattle hasn't read that book? How about, have you seen the movie Easy Rider? Hell yeah. Awesome flick. Jack Nicholson was great in that movie. And Peter Fonda. And, oh no, don't tell me. I was just about to drink my third sample of stout when I looked into those happy eyes. What? I said. Are you traveling around like a Dharma bum or Captain America to relive your childhood or something? That's a little cliche. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. So, like a bucket list thingy? Kinda. Let's let's just say the guy upstairs gave me an expiration date, and I think the road is where I need to be before my lights go out. Her happy eyes turned sad for a moment. Well, shit, motorcycle boy. I didn't think you were going to lay something heavy like that on me. So there's that rule that when someone asks you how you're doing, you just say fine or good and leave it at that. I broke that rule. When you're walking around with something terminal, sometimes it's tough to be tight-lipped, but you also don't want to be a Debbie Downer either. Ah, I'm sorry, I said. I just, what is it? She asked. That is, if you don't mind me asking. I didn't mind. She had one of those faces I felt I could trust. Cancer, stage 4, lung and liver. And here you are in my bar drinking. Yeah, I'm the king of bad decisions. I get that vibe off of you. What? I'm only kidding. She came around the bar and gave me a genuine deep hug. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry, she said. Thanks, but I've made peace with it. But have you? I think so. I don't think you'd be driving around the United States if you made peace with it. I think you're still searching. I gave out a big sigh. Yeah, maybe you're right. She held out her hand. Josie, Josie Whalen. I took her hand in mine and I pumped it. Like Josie Wales? Her eyes fluttered and she let out on her own sigh with a smile. Well, thank you for making that connection. You badass. She laughed and then punched me in the arm. So, she looked at me up and down. I can't keep calling you motorcycle boy, so what do I call you? Well, I like the Rumblefish connection, I said, but you can call me Faye Broken Bird. How long you in town for, Faye Broken Bird? Well, I was going to leave in the morning, but I got invited to a powwow tomorrow night. Ooh, be careful. Some of those natives can be dangerous. I think I'll be okay. I'm sure you will. Just be careful. Will you want to come with? I'm working tomorrow. Double shift. Damn. I'm off at 3:30 today. If you happen to be around, I can take you on a Kerouac tour. What? Really? Yeah, least I can do for you. I'll be here. I walked down and took my bike out of storage. She really didn't sound like she wanted to run. I sprayed a little seafoam I had in my saddlebags on the carbs, cleaned off the spark plugs, and shot some cleaner in the sockets, and she eventually roared to life. The city streets are busy, and I really needed an open road to clear out her systems. So I took out my phone and realized it was a flip phone with none of that fancy app gadgetry on it. I also saw there were a few texts from my sister Missy. Hey, bro, hope you're having a nice trip and staying safe. Jack is wondering when his uncle is going to see him again. Did you hear about Dad? And the last one was from Jean. This is Jean. I hope you're doing okay. Call me if you're bored. Ugh. I put my phone back in my pocket and drove around until I found a road into the suburbs. I drove around the little hippie neighborhoods until 3 and then made my way back to the bar Josie worked at. Now, normally, if I'm going someplace to pick up a woman that I'm clearly connected to, it was because I wanted to sleep with her. But that wasn't this at all. Now, don't get me wrong, Josie was beautiful, but I'd clicked with her in a way I'd never clicked with a woman before. She came off very genuine and really like someone I could be really great friends with. Maybe it was because I knew I was going to die and I didn't want to fuck up my remaining life tied into a relationship. I don't know. But as Johnny Cade from The Outsiders would say, Josie was golden. You made it, she asked. She said with a big smile. I did, I said. Can't pass up a guided tour of Kerouac country. Well, to be honest, it's not that big of a deal. Uh, can you give me a lift to my place? I gotta change. You really gonna trust a stranger on a motorcycle to take you home? She folded her arms. I've been a bartender a long time. Most you big burly types like to act like you're Kodiaks, but you're usually big teddy bears. She read me pretty accurately. Besides, if you try anything shady, tough guy, I'll whoop your ass. Capiche? I laughed my ass off at that. The outlaw Josie Whalen, I said. You're goddamn right, she said as she hopped on the back of my bike and put her arms around my hips. She lived in a pretty cool loft apartment. She had a female roommate that was just leaving for her job. I got the up and down from her and some of the third degree. Let up off him, Lil, Josie said, changing from her room. He's just a good friend of mine. Uh-huh, Lil said sarcastically. So was the other guy you brought home. He was your married friend. You're late for work, Lillian. We all had a chuckle, and her roommate left for work with a wink. Josie came out of the bedroom with a towel on. I'm going to take a quick hot one. Help yourself to some beers in the fridge. I think there may be a Guinness if you like. 3 bottles of Guinness, and we were on our way. We ended up at a cute little takeout place called Homegrown. It sat on the first level of a Wells Fargo high rise. I wasn't sure what the significance of this place was to Jack Kerouac, but I bought supper and we sat at an outdoor table on the sidewalk. This is so different than what I'm used to, I said. You don't usually hop on a bike with a strange woman and go out to eat? She smiled. Actually, I've been known to do that. I'm talking more about the city. I grew up on the plains and lakes of Minnesota. I'm used to open sky. You can barely see the sky here unless you go out onto the boardwalk. I know what you're saying. I grew up in Norfolk, Nebraska. What? True story. How did you end up here? Nursing school, wanted to get out of bumfuck Egypt, etc., etc. I'm working part time as a nurse at the ER and part time at the bar. Rent is hella expensive. The Santee, Ponca, and the Omaha are out that way. They are. I've got a little Ponca in my bloodline. Ponca and Irish. Mostly Irish. Me too. I thought about what Dad had told me at the beginning of this trip and realized now that that was a lie. My dad's Irish and my mom is Weta. She used to live in Omaha. So you know Nebraska pretty well then. Yeah. But where does your mom live now? She lives in the wind. Passed away this year. I'm sorry. Shit, you've had a rough go, huh? It is what it is, Josie. It's shitty is what it is. You seem like a really good guy to have such awful shit dropped in your lap. Think my Uncle Bones used to say, it ain't the cards you're dealt, little fart. It's how you play 'em, or something like that. You don't seem to believe that so much. Ah, I guess I'm playing my hand. Here I am in Seattle, Washington, with a complete stranger eating a panini sandwich. She touched my hand. Does it feel like we're complete strangers? She asked. I took a sip of coffee and then looked at her eyes. No, we really don't. Feels like I've known you forever. Weird, really. I think it's just 'cause we both been seen some shit. The kind of shit that makes you question why everything is the way it is. No matter how hard you try, you get kicked in the teeth, I finished. Yeah, that's it. Josie opened up to me and told me the horrible things that she encountered. Growing up on the same Sesame Street wonder and Mr. Rogers mentality and getting hit with a brick. That girl is a bona fide hard ass. I could tell you her story, but it's her story and not mine to tell. So if you ever have the privilege to be in the care of a nurse named Josie Whalen, you know that you're in good company. Oh, before I forget, she said, take a look over your shoulder. I turned around. What am I looking at? I said. Well, you're looking at the Henry M. Jackson Federal Building right now. But if you flash back to the mid 50s, and you'd be looking at the Hotel Stevens and the Rivoli Theater. Get the fuck out of here. Yep, the Rivoli was where they had the last burlesque show. And the Stevens, that's where Jack stayed before and after his stint as a fire watcher out on Desolation Peak. Oh, shit. This is the corner of 2nd and Marion. He wrote about these places in the Dharma Bums. Well, shit. You do read Kerouac. I had a boyfriend here that was obsessed with him. I took him up to Desolation Peak and I and he stayed and I went home. Did you kill him? She laughed. I shoulda, but no. He wanted to stay for a month or more. I couldn't because of work and school and camping for over a month in the wilderness. Doesn't sound all that great. Wow. He chose camping up there over hanging with you? Guy sounds like an idiot. Thanks. He is. But I'm better for it. So, is that the whole Jack Kerouac tour? Well, unless you want to try to climb Desolation Peak and camp near the cabin he lived in as a fire watcher. I don't think my lung could take that, damn it. I didn't think so. You breathe pretty heavy. I do? Yeah, you don't notice? No, I guess not. You aren't still smoking, are you? She gave me a mean look. I turned a little red. She instantly slapped me on the arm. You idiot, she snapped. How could you still smoke after beating cancer? I know. I felt embarrassed. But since I'm on my way out anyways, I thought why not enjoy these last days? Are you enjoying them? You know, I always dreamed of doing a trip like this. And now that I am, it's way better than I thought it ever would be. I've met some really cool people, you being one of them. I've seen a lot of beautiful sights. I take a lot of fond memories from childhood along my trip. My parents traveled a lot. It was bittersweet to see some of the old places we went to, and some of them are long gone, kind of like Kerouac's hotel and bar back there. There's a spirit that lives in everything. It connects all of us. I've never felt it, though. I'm kind of hoping to find it before my trip is up. I looked up and noticed Josie's eyes were filling with tears. I'm sorry, I said. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. She wiped her eyes and came over and kissed my cheek, and then gave me a long hug. No, she said, don't be sorry. Just the thought of you dying. It, it really saddens me. Well, I'm glad it doesn't make you happy. She laughs through her sadness. I wish we could have met as kids, she said. Then we grew up best friends and grew old talking about our lives and laughing. I feel like we've been friends since we were kids, to be honest, I said, smiling. Yeah, me too, I guess. We were just cheated out of those memories. A silence raised up between the two of us. It wasn't awkward, it was just silence. We were waiting for the spirits to lead us into the next direction. Well, sorry, Josie said. That's all I got on Kerouac. Are you heading to San Francisco on your trip? Of course, I said. Got to hit City Lights bookstore where all the Beat generations hung out. Well, don't forget Kerouac Alley. Used to be Adler Alley. They dedicated the alley to him. It's in Chinatown. Sweet, I will. I was getting sad because I thought that this was the last I would see of Josie. Our seemingly long friendship was coming to an end. So there's a hole in the wall bar just below my place if you want to finish with some drinks, she spoke up. I would like that, I said with a smile. And we did finish the night with drinks. I had so much that she made me sleep on her couch. Probably not a wise decision to try to drive drunk in a strange city on a motorcycle. I'll always be grateful for that kindness. Wopila. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing all right? All right, we just finished chapter 16. We're going to go into chapter 17. Chapter 17. The morning was a bastard. It hurt to lift my head up off the pillow. It took a few minutes to figure out where I was, and then realized I was at Josie's apartment. You missed her, a gravelly female voice said from what I remember was the kitchen. Huh? I said between the wads of cotton I felt in my mouth. Josie. She left for work about 2 hours ago. Damn it. What time is it? Almost 11. Damn it. You may not have coaxed her into bed, but she left you breakfast in the microwave. I was going to laugh, but instead a loud, spasmodic cough came out instead. Easy now, cowboy. I'll get you a coffee, Lil said from the kitchen. Do you take cream? No, thanks, I said, pulling up a stool at the kitchen island. Black and bitter. There you go, sweetie. Man after my own heart. We clicked mugs and took in a few sips. It was hot, thick, and bitter, and lovely. Sorry I missed her, I said. I gotta say, she tried to say politely, you're one of the scarier looking guys she's brought home, but you seem okay. Thanks, but it's nothing like that. We just hit it off pretty good. I don't believe in platonic relationships. Really? You don't have any guy friends? Well, sure I do. but I guarantee they've thought about sleeping with me at one time or another, or I with them. Just nature is all. Lillian was gorgeous, and she knew it. Blonde hair and dark brown eyes that would drown a man. Killer legs and quite sassy. Well, you're both good looking women, no doubt about that. But I'm on the expiration list, so a relationship is the last thing on my mind. I just really wanted to say goodbye to her, is all. Yeah, I hope you don't mind, but I grilled her on you last night. She told me about your cancer diagnosis. I'm very sorry. I hope you're not one of those guys that fakes illnesses to get sympathy and a lay. If you are, I'll kill you. I wish that was the case, honestly, but thanks for the warning, slugger. I better get my things together. Tell her I said thanks for the hospitality and the friendship. Are you leaving? Well, I'm heading to a powwow tonight, and then I'm off to California in the morning. Well, be careful. Powwows are cool, but the park gets a little dangerous after dark. Not that I think you can't handle yourself, but you never know. Thanks again for the warning. I finished my cup and my breakfast and bid Lillian farewell. I left her my cell phone number and headed out. I rode my bike to my hotel and showered. It felt good to get clean. I coughed a lot in the shower and was hoping I wasn't losing the second wind I received in Idaho. I promised myself I was going to throw away what was left of my carton of cigs, but then somehow justified keeping them around just in case. I ate the strawberries I had bought at Pike's Market, then curled up in my bed and fell asleep to the sound of the Puget through my open patio door. When I awoke, I brewed up a cup of coffee and went out onto the balcony to view the water. The sun was beginning to set, and the sky was painted in pinks and a deep blue behind it. I thought about having a glass of wine, but then I remembered my mother said to never consume alcohol before or during a Wacipi or powwow. So I gulped down the last of my coffee and packed my backpack with a light sweater and headed towards the park. When I got to the place, they were to hold the powwow. There was a small crowd gathered about, holding signs and chanting protests against the event. I didn't understand the protest, as a large percentage of the protesters were Native Americans. But I did notice that most of the participants in the powwow were young, and there were white kids dressed in mock regalia. What's happening? I asked one of the protesters. This abomination, he said. He was about 10 years younger than me. They call this a Wacipi when it's clearly not. It's just a damn drum circle, another protester spoke. There was a large fire in the middle of an even larger circle of dancers. The dancers looked like a bunch of white kids trying to be native. The only the only time a ceremony is held at night is in preparation for war, the first protester spoke. There was no prayer, no medicine men to ask the ancestors for a blessing and to present their intentions. Oh, what are their intentions? I asked. They say prayers to save Mother Earth, the second protester laughed. The weather was damp. It looked as if it were going to rain. The Thunder Beings are angry, the first protester said. Their drums will not play. Sure enough, when the drummers began to play their ornate drums, the sound was muffled against the stretched skin. The dampness of the air had silenced their drums. One of the dancers had run to their shelter and brought out his Bluetooth speaker, and with a few motions on his phone, native drum beats began to rumble from the speaker, and they began to dance. There was no energy in the dancers. They were going through the motions, but seemed to be in a mental haze. I noticed, too, they weren't going in a clockwise direction. They were going counterclockwise. Bad juju, my mom would have said. Well, I said to no one in particular, at least their intentions are good. The first protester grunted. The second one spoke up. What intentions? She said. They never presented their intentions. They're just dancing around like idiots. The Thunder Beings spoke their intentions. A loud crack echoed through the park, followed by several flashes of lightning. Then the sky opened up and poured her tears on dancer and protester alike. Everyone began to disperse to their respective vehicles. I stayed and watched the scene before me. Moments like this, I felt so alive. No, not the chaos, but the thunderstorm that rumbled above. The rain that soaked my skin seemed to wash away all the grime that life had put on me. I walked over to the bluff that overlooked the Puget Sound and sat on a large rock. I was soaked, but the majesty before me was so invigorating that I ignored any discomfort. Whenever rain drenched the earth, I would run outside to commune with it. Ever since I was a little kid, the rain was my best friend. I must have, I must have spent an hour on that rock, butterflies in my stomach. The wind started up and began to sharpen the drops, like little razors cutting into my face. I pulled my backpack off and put it over my head and began to walk back to my hotel. I made it to the outskirts of the park when the rain began to let up. I was soaked to the bone. My hair was matted to my face, and my clothes felt heavy. My socks sucking up the water in my boots like sponges with every step. It was hard to walk, and my backpack seemed heavier than usual. That's him, a voice said behind me. I'd recognize that fucker anywhere. It was that homeless kid from a few days ago in the hotel lobby. He was with four other friends, and they didn't look too friendly. Where you going, douchebag? One of them said as they cut me off. Just back the fuck off me, I said, lowering my backpack. Think you're better than the rest of us? The kid joined his friend in front of me. Seriously, fucko, you don't want to go there. I tried to walk around them, and then his other two friends grabbed me from behind. Heading back to your comfy hotel room? He said, and then landed a punch in my gut. I buckled, but managed to stay standing. Tell your friends to let me go, I said, coughing. Then you and me can hash this shit out. The kid swung again, and I managed to duck enough so that he hit one of my escorts in his face instead. I took the chance and swung my free arm into the face of the other escort. The kid and his other friend, who were in front of me, tackled me down. We wrestled around a bit, and then the punches and kicks came. They beat the fight out of me, and I just laid there and crumpled up. They say even the most avid of fighters can last in hand-to-hand combat for 3 minutes until winded. I may have been in a few scraps in my day, but I was sneaking up on 50. I had a lung and a half that were getting eaten up by cancer. I barely lasted a minute. Hey, look what I found, the kid said, going through my pockets. It was my hotel key. They all had their turn at kicking me, and one of their kicks sent stars spinning around in my head. Scooping up my backpack, they walked away with my wallet, my key, and a pack of smokes. I slowly pushed myself up and immediately wish I didn't. My head throbbed, and when I took a deep breath, it felt like someone stabbed me in the ribs. I couldn't even scream out. I cussed to myself, thinking I was going to die on this filthy sidewalk, that some homeless fucking kid was going to be my demise and not cancer. Cancer, at least, had been my friend for a long time, an intimate friend that knew my body inside and out. But it looks like this street rat and his mongrel friends beat cancer to the punch, literally. So what do I do? Do I just lay here? Do I try another shot at getting up and go to the hospital? Maybe head to the hotel lobby and hope that bleeding heart idiot isn't working and maybe would call me an ambulance? I wish I could tell you what decision I made. I remember getting up. I remember hurting like hell and losing my breath as blood bubbled out of my mouth. Then it's like I walked into a black abyss. When I opened my eyes again, things were blurry. Beeps and chirps in the background. People in the distance speaking in hushed tones. I was wrapped in a thin sheet and a thin blanket. The bed I was lying in was propped up, and I realized it was a hospital bed. I had an SpO2 monitor on my index finger, a blood pressure cuff on my left arm, and my lips felt numb as if they'd been injected with Novocaine. Good, you're awake, a familiar voice said. What the fuck did you get into? Whoa, I slurred. Okay, don't talk. She checked the instruments and then put her hand on my face. We got you pretty doped up. Someone found you lying in the street. Thought you were drunk. Turns out, someone kicked your ass. Josie, I tried to speak. Yeah, it's me. That's 2 nights you get to spend with me. You're in pretty rough shape. Got 2 cracked ribs with some internal bleeding, 2 black eyes, a cut lip, stitched up by yours truly. I, I got beat. Like I said, no talking. You can chat with me tomorrow morning. I get off in about an hour. I'm afraid you may get pneumonia with the condition of your lungs, so you won't be traveling for a while. Josie, I. I'll stick around until you drift off to sleep, but I'll be here in the morning. Just relax and try to sleep. It was comforting to hear her voice. I knew I was in good hands. I felt her hand on my cheek, and she kissed my forehead. I drifted off to a more restful sleep, looking forward to seeing my new friend in the morning. And that, my friends, is the end of chapters 16 and 17. He's not all gloom and doom. He got his ass kicked, but, you know, it gives him more time to hang out with his new buddy, Josie Whalen. So I don't know if the real Josie Whalen is watching or listening to tonight's deal. But yeah, hopefully she is because I told her she was in it, and I wanted to see what she thought of her part on how we met. So, or how her character met Broken Bird is what I meant to say. Um, so yeah, Josie is a real person, and she really is that cool. So, but yeah, hopefully she's watching, or it will watch it later. Otherwise, she can look into it later. So, well, thank you guys. Thank you very much, Beth. Good to see you. Is Bobby home yet, or is he at a meeting or something tonight? It is Tuesday. So, but yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. I had to throw. There's got to be some balance in there. I had to throw some good natured luck, uh, Broken Bird's way, and I thought, well, it's time for him to meet Josie. Hi, Angela. Thank you very much. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. Um, yeah. So, he got his ass kicked, and it kind of sent him backwards as far as health goes. Oh, you're both at the meeting. Okay. Yeah, it kind of sent him backwards as far as his health goes, but he's going to. Well, I can't ruin it for you. You guys got to tune in next week so you know what happens to him. So normally when he's in the hospital, as we've seen in the past, his dad shows up, but he doesn't have that luxury this time around. But no, he's gonna be sticking around Seattle a little bit, and he got robbed. So he doesn't have his money. So yeah, we gotta see what happens next. So I believe Bobby and I are going to be doing uh toe tapping Thursday, this coming Thursday. Hopefully, otherwise it's gonna be me alone again, which is fine too. Um, we might have our special guest come in Thursday. I don't know. I'll have to double check on that. We'll just surprise you with it. And I also believe that we will have a coffee with friends this Sunday. So hopefully, I don't know. I got to talk to Bobby. I never talk to him anymore. We see each other maybe once a week, and it hasn't even been that. So, um, last week I just stopped over at his house because I hadn't seen him for a while. So yeah, that's what happens. All right, jingle bells. Maybe Kevin. Maybe we'll have jingle bells. We'll see. We'll see. All right, you guys. Thank you very much for joining me on this. The powwow scene in tonight's story, um, based on a real event. It wasn't a powwow. It was supposed to be a ghost dance that this group was gonna throw out on Leon's property, and nobody acknowledged him as the medicine man of the ceremony. Nobody showed up for the prayers, um, to state their intentions to the ancestors. And he said the drums aren't going to play when they go to dance. And sure enough, the drums did not play. It was pretty uncanny. Yep. And then he washed his hands of it and just went back to his house and kind of kept me down there to make sure that they didn't do anything else disrespectful. So that was right before my cancer surgery, actually. Yeah, a lot of things happened in that year. So, anyhow, Chuck, have a great night. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching it there. Um, if you've come here, check out. I'm on TikTok, and I'm also on Instagram as well. So I'm also on Threads, but that's not voluntarily. It just all my stuff just goes to Threads for some reason. I don't know why. I don't even know what Threads is, but anyhow, I'm trying to grow my presence online. Um, get people interested in the story that I'm reading, you guys. But yeah, if you are joining me on YouTube, thank you very much. Please like, please subscribe on YouTube. If you are new here to my b.hive page, please like and subscribe here as well. The more people I get to like my page, the more I can do. Currently, right now, Facebook deletes these live streams after 30 days. So after 30 days, this will be gone. You won't be able to watch it here. You'll have to go to YouTube to watch it if you want to watch anything. If you want to watch anything from my past shows, you got to go onto YouTube because Facebook is erasing all of them. And I get it. Their servers can't hold all of our stuff all the time. So, and I get that. So, but what I don't get is they don't let me invite my entire friends list to these events. So, I appreciate it that you guys do. I always make sure that I try to get all my regulars invited. I think I get to a certain number and then they're like, "Oh, you've exceeded the amount of people you can invite to your," and then nobody I haven't found anywhere where it says I can't invite an unlimited amount of people. So, that being said, please if you can, please invite your friends to come and see the show, come and listen to the book. Or shoot them down to the YouTube page, which is at Bradley Bodeker 70 on YouTube, and this reading is also on there, and I usually update that up after each one. So, all right, you guys, thank you again, and for your support, listening, sharing, all of that groovy stuff. And I hope you have a great night. We'll see you on Thursday night, and maybe we'll play a Christmas song. Maybe. We'll see. All right. Love you guys. Mwah. Peace and a bottle of hair grease. And there you go. All right. I am out. Wapila.